Welcome, everyone. If you're visiting us all the way from the States and standing here right now, well, you're about to embark on something absolutely incredible. This isn't just another dry history lesson, no way. This is a real-life, gritty survival thriller. Today, in this explainer, we're going way, way back, like 3,000 years back, to the city of David, the literal birthplace of Jerusalem. We're stepping into a world totally defined by high-stakes royal drama, massive ancient empires, and the terrifying approach of the ruthless king Sennacherib. Okay, let's dive into this, because what you're about to experience is going to completely change how you see the ancient world.
I want you to take just a second and imagine standing right at the threshold of history. You're not just staring at a bunch of old rocks today. You are about to step straight into the pages of a sweeping historical novel. This was a world of intense kings, brutal rivalries, and everyday gritty survival. For the next little while, you're going to walk the exact same path, touch the exact same walls, and breathe the exact same air as people who lived, fought, and miraculously survived thousands of years ago. Very shortly, you're going to actually enter the Siloam Tunnel, and I really want you to mentally prepare yourself for the intense physical sensation of it. You're going to be walking through narrow, claustrophobic passages. You'll literally feel the air around you drop in temperature. It gets incredibly dark, cool, and damp, heavy with this unmistakable scent of history. And if you listen closely in the dark, you can almost hear the rhythmic, desperate echoes of the ancient stonecutters who carved out the very walls you'll be brushing your shoulders against. 2,700 years. Just let that sink in for a second. That's how long ago this tunnel was carved. And remember, they didn't have power tools or heavy machinery back then. They hacked this entire passage out of the solid earth completely by hand. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer, unbelievable human effort and determination it took to just survive in this landscape. You're basically walking through a man-made miracle from 27 centuries ago. Now, you really need to understand exactly where you're standing right now. The city of David is the most excavated biblical archaeological site anywhere in the world. We are literally piecing together clues in real time here. This isn't just some dusty story passed down through the generations. Everything we're talking about today is backed by tangible evidence, massive discoveries, and artifacts that archaeologists are quite literally pulling right out of the dirt beneath your feet. Section 1. Everyday life in ancient Jerusalem. So let's step away from the grand scale of the site for a moment and look at who actually lived here. Because history isn't just about famous names, right? It's about the bustling, everyday reality of the simple merchants and families. Imagine walking out of that dark tunnel and suddenly stepping into a loud, chaotic, ancient marketplace. Picture the simple merchant, hands rough and calloused from trade, wiping sweat from his brow under the hot Middle Eastern sun. The air is just thick with the smell of exotic spices, and you've got these incredibly colorful fabrics being traded from all over the known world. It was a lively, vibrant community of artisans just trying to make a living and raise their kids. Now, you might be wondering, how do we actually know all this? Well, it comes down to some absolutely brilliant historical detective work. Archaeologists pieced together this massive puzzle, one tiny artifact at a time, and the level of detail is just mind-blowing. They've uncovered the very foundations of ancient homes, they've found everyday tools and weapons left right where they were dropped. They even analyze microscopic things, like we're talking tiny pollen grains and tiny fragments of animal bones, to paint a high-definition picture of the past. And you know what that microscopic detective work tells us? It tells us exactly what these ancient citizens had for dinner. The everyday menu consisted heavily of lentils, grapes, and olives. Think about that for a second. These were teenagers and families, honestly just like you, sitting around a table after a hard day, eating the exact same foods people in this region eat today. And they were completely unaware of the massive, high-stakes royal drama that was unfolding just up the hill. Section 2. King David's Royal Drama. Let's move on and see how all of this builds from the everyday, dusty streets right up to the highest seat of power. King David is, without a doubt, one of the most fascinating, complicated characters in all of history. I mean, on one hand, he was a fierce warrior, the famous underdog who actually defeated Goliath. But he was also a deeply sensitive musician and poet. Above all, though, he was a visionary. He looked at this unassuming little settlement and decided, I'm going to turn this into my unified capital. And man, his family was just as dramatic. Think of a sweeping historical saga filled with succession crises, deep, dark betrayals, and absolute heartbreak. The Jerusalem we know today started with his intense ambition. There's this incredible contrast between the two worlds living side by side in the city of David.
On one hand, you have the everyday citizen focused purely on simple survival, working those bustling markets, trading spices, coming home to a simple bowl of lentils. But then, on the other hand, you have the royal family. Their world was filled with highly complicated relationships, high-stakes political ambition, intense jealousy, and a level of rivalry that literally feels like it's pulled straight out of a modern dramatic soap opera. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how these two vastly different realities existed mere feet away from each other.
And the royals? They wanted everyone down below to know exactly who was in charge. Archaeologists recently uncovered something called the stepped stone structure. This massive, towering wall of rocks is widely thought to be the foundation of King David's palace itself. For the simple merchants living down in the valley, this structure was a looming, constant shadow over their daily lives. It wasn't just a place for the king to sleep, it was a physical, imposing symbol of the dramatic royal family that ruled over them.
Section 3. The ultimate survival thriller. But as we know, power always attracts enemies. And this brings us to the moment where our historical novel suddenly turns into an action-packed, ticking clock thriller. The ruthless Assyrian king, Sennacherib, is marching his massive, terrifying army straight toward Jerusalem. They are about to lay siege to the city. The Book of Chronicles actually describes the terror perfectly. It says, after all that Hezekiah had so faithfully done, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came and invaded Judah. He laid siege to the fortified cities. The survival of literally everyone inside, the warring royals, the simple merchants, the teenagers eating their lentils, is suddenly hanging by a very, very thin thread. So, King Hezekiah is on the throne, and he's facing a desperate race against time. He recognizes a terrifying truth. The Assyrians don't even have to breach the walls to win this war. All they have to do is cut off the city's water supply. So, the crucial point is water. Without it, the entire city dies. Hezekiah gathers his people and asks a frantic, high-stakes question recorded right in the Bible. Why should the kings of Assyria come and find plenty of water? He immediately orders 2 teams of men to do the impossible, to desperately dig a tunnel through solid rock to reroute the Gihon Spring safely inside the city walls.
I want you to really visualize the human determination this took. 2 teams, solid rock, pitch black, carving blindly toward each other from completely opposite ends. They are hacking away at the unyielding earth, racing against the ticking clock of Sennacherib's impending brutal invasion. It is fast, it is frantic, and it remains one of the most claustrophobic, mind-bending feats of engineering in human history. And how do we know this crazy movie-like sequence actually happened? Because they left us a message. It's called the Siloam inscription. It's an ancient text that was found carved right into the stone of the tunnel itself. It vividly details the exact awe-inspiring moment the 2 desperate digging teams heard each other's pickaxes and miraculously met perfectly in the middle. It is the thrilling, tangible proof of their survival, and you guys are about to walk through the exact spot where this miracle occurred.
Section 4. The tunnel awaits you.
And that brings us right back to this exact moment, to you, standing here right now. Before you walk in, I want you to hold on to this quote from one of our archaeological sources. Someone thousands of years ago held that same object, used it in their daily life. You are literally stepping into the pages of the dramatic historical novel we just explored together. When you enter that tunnel and put your hand against the cool, wet stone, you are physically touching the exact spot where a desperate ancient citizen swung a pickaxe to save their family. You are connecting directly to the human spirit of survival. So, as we wrap up this explainer and you prepare to put your screens away to trade the light of day for the shadows of history, I leave you with one final question. Are you ready to feel the echoes of the past, have an absolutely amazing time in the tunnel, and keep diving deep into history?